So this afternoon we're interviewing Keith Hagen, and Keith has put together a replica of a homestead. It's actually the homestead of our grandparents. And what was it that inspired you to create this? I mean, was it to preserve the past? Was it to pass along family history to your children or grandchildren?
Well, I would say mostly it's just my interest in history and what's happened in the past that seems to be eroding and is quickly being removed from the landscape. As farms get larger, the first thing that happens is the vacant homesteads or yards are leveled and cleaned up and gone, sort of thing. So, and that's what happened with Grandpa's tar paper shack, and so I had room here and decided it was a good project, so I decided that it would be something, especially seeing as how we had some of the original furniture and stuff to put back into it. So I thought it was an interesting project to take on. It turned out to be way bigger than I had thought or planned, but I'm pleased with it.
Right, right. So Grandma and Grandpa's place was only like what, a mile and a half from our place?
Yeah, about a mile.
Yeah. And so we used to run away and run down to Grandma's house. But funny thing was, Dad was usually working nearby in a field, so he could see us going, and Mom could see us all the way from home. So they didn't worry about us and being safe and stuff. But nowadays, children and grandchildren are not as easily accessible to the older generation because of COVID and whatnot. And what do you think about that? Do you think that the grandchildren nowadays are really missing out on that piece of history and interaction?
Well, I would like to think that this COVID is just a passing phase, and I hope that it'll be over sometime in the foreseeable future, and things can get back to the so-called new normal. But I think the new normal would still include grandchildren getting together with the grandparents, because I think it's not that the grandparents teach kids very much. It's usually the grandkids that are teaching the grandparents. But I think it's a good relationship that needs to be cultivated and experienced. And so for the time being, when that isn't necessarily happening the way that most people would like to see it, I would like to think that in some time in the future that'll be put back into normal again.
That would sure be nice, wouldn't it? Yeah, and I mean, gone are the days where the families live so close together. Some cases they're still fairly close together, but a lot of them are well distanced.
Yeah, a lot of them are a province away, sort of
Right.
thing. So it has changed a lot. That's
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah. What do you feel this project of creating this replica has taught you? Like, were there any life lessons, perhaps, the tar paper and how difficult that was to assemble, or the lath and plaster, a new appreciation for that skill? What would you say?
Well, no, I think my wife would be the first to say that every project that I take on takes longer than what I planned, sort of thing. So, but no, it was an interesting project. Like I say, it took way longer than I had planned, but to learn or figure out how to build a car top roof for it, sort of thing, that was an experience. But yeah, it was just learn as you go and find out how to get it done and
Right.
do it. That's all. So
Because the roof was had to be rounded, right?
that's right. They call it a car top roof rather than rafters and beams and that sort of thing. So yeah, it was a little bit of a learning curve there, but
What did that entail as far as getting the roof rounded or
well,
car top?
it basically meant that instead of the rafters running lengthways, the rafters ran the other direction. So in the center of like a 10 by 12 in the center, you'd be putting a 2 by 6 on edge with a 2 by 4 on top of that on edge, and of course you have to brace it, and then your rough lumber for the roof just gets bent over that. So a foot or, well, not a foot, but 2 feet away from the center, then you put just a 2 by 6, and then out the outside edge you put just a 2 by 4 on edge, so you got your curve, so it would shed the rain. And it's only 10 feet, so from the center of the roof to the outside is only 5 feet, so they didn't worry about the snow load.
Yeah, I guess not.
So
Right, right.
but it's probably better built than some of the houses of today's sort of thing, because
Yeah.
it's all, you know, three. Well, I guess you'd say it's 1 by 6 or 3/4 inch lumber up there before they put the roofing
Right.
on. So
Right. Yeah.
so I think it's well
Yeah.
constructed.
How old do you think you were when our grandparents moved out of the tar paper shack?
I'm guessing 7, 8, 9 sort of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Because I was going to school when Grandma and Grandpa were still living there. Because Grandpa would stop by and pick us up
Oh,
on the
okay.
way, take us to school.
See, I would have been about 5 then, and yeah, I don't remember much about.
Yeah, I remember Grandpa coming in that Ford, the one that's in the picture of the
Yeah.
tar paper shack there.
What is the best part of having built this pathway to the past been for you?
Well, I think that the best thing is that a lot of people appreciate it, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But yeah, it's like I say, there's so much being removed from the landscape these days, sort of thing. So I thought this was a
Yeah.
good thing to sort of save.
Right, for sure. Um, so the altar that you've now saved for posterity from the North Emmanuel Lutheran Church that, I mean, we were all, Dad was baptized in, our siblings were baptized in, our children, our grandchildren. I see that you have the altar, you have the communion ring, where we used to gather together when Mom was playing the organ for 25 plus years. How do you feel about, sorry, first I was going to ask you, how did you come about gathering these items?
Well, I was involved when they sold the church to, or were in the process of closing the church and decided that they would sell the church. And so I was in the process of helping to get it sold. And then the people that got it, I've been visiting with them. They actually still live in Admiral, and visiting back and forth with them. And they basically said that they were going to turn it into an art gallery.
Yeah.
And so then one thing led to another, and they were saying that they didn't know what they were going to do with the altar ring. And because when the closing of the church gave me the baptismal founts and the hymn boards for Admiral and Scotsguard and Insto, then I figured, well, the altar would fit into the showroom. So
Exactly.
so I asked them about it, and they said, yeah, if you're going to put it in the showroom, yeah,
Right.
you come and get it. So.
Yeah, I mean, you have a perfect place to put it. You have the room.
Well,
Not many
that's the
people
big thing
do.
with this, is a place to display it so people can see
Yeah.
it and enjoy
And
it.
enjoy it.
Like I really like to watch American pickers and Canadian pickers, but I get a little frustrated when you see them go into a place where it's piled to the roof, and I don't know how much appreciation there is for what's
No.
in there, because they don't even know what they've got
No,
in there
you can't really
sometimes.
see. Yeah, that's for sure. I see that you also have the Bible that sat on the altar for many years that's dedicated to our grandfather, August Hagen. What does it feel like to have a piece of history like that?
Well, yeah, the family donated that in memory of Grandpa, and
Yeah.
when the church got closed, I figured, well, I better, especially with the tar paper shack, it sort of fit in there, I thought.
Sure.
So they
Yeah.
said, yeah, go ahead.
Exactly.
And that was the process with the church when it closed, that anything that had been donated by any family got returned to that family, or
Oh,
at least
nice.
offered to them
Sure.
if
first.
they wanted it or not. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Do you have any plans for celebrating the family history specific elements of that you've gathered here?
Not at this point. I hadn't planned for anything in
Yeah.
particular yet, sort of thing. I'm too busy with some other things yet, but that may happen sometime in the
Right.
future.
I mean, we did have one family reunion with, two actually,
Actually,
with the people
two.
from Norway coming here.
Yeah.
So I guess there's hope for that again in the future.
Yeah, that's all things are possible
That's right. When travel opens up.
when travel opens up,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much for spending this time with us and telling our viewers about this wonderful display you have. And I'm hoping we can bring you some people to look at it.
Sure.
You've got quite a few coming anyway, don't you?
Well, yeah, there's quite a few that stop in here all the time, sort of thing. But yeah, we say that we're open by appointment and by chance, because we don't have posted open hours. But if we're home when somebody shows up, if we've got time, then we'll show them